Okay, so here's what we're going to be doing today. We've been going through the book of Daniel and been talking a little bit about dreams now that we are in chapter 2. We're going to be finishing off chapter 2 this coming Sunday. And so here's what I want to talk about. We're talking about dreams now because a lot of you have probably been thinking about whether or not God still speaks to people in dreams. Maybe you've even asked yourself, was that dream from God? So that's kind of what I want to deal with today. So luckily, this is an area that I am fairly well studied in. I wrote my dissertation on dreams in the Old Testament. So what I want to do, though, is kind of just take the whole picture and look at dreams in the whole Bible. And maybe while we're going through this study over the next couple weeks, I would like to just kind of unpack just a few things about dreams. And so this week and next, we're going to talk a little bit about dreams and how to know whether they're from God, kind of what are some characteristics about them that might be able to help you understand kind of at least how it might work and should work in your life. How is it working today? All of that. So that being said, I'm going to get on my notes now. And we're going to go ahead and look at dreams in the Bible. So dreams in the Bible is what we're going to be seeing. And the first thing I want to look at with you is just some basics on dreams. I think it's important to recognize that in the Bible, there's 114 uses of the word dream in the Old Testament. And then there's 9 uses of the word dream in the New. Now when I say 114 uses, that's with the root word. If you look at the Hebrew, it's all based on roots. And so if there's the root, the word dream, that could mean dreaming. It could mean dreamed, dream, all of that. So that word dream is part of that. Now, if you look at the New Testament occurrences, there's only 9. And 2 of the occurrences, or 3 of the occurrences, use a different word, and then there are 6 of the others that use one. But the words dreams are mentioned 9 times in the New Testament. What else do we know? We have dream narratives, and these are stories. And this is really where I think the bulk of what we need to look at for our own understanding of dreams, our understanding of the story in the book of Daniel. We should focus on these stories. Now, not all of them are significant stories. Some of them are just like a one-liner. In fact, you get to the New Testament side, you'll just say, and he had a dream, or she suffered in a dream. But it's interesting to note that there's 15 in the whole Old Testament of these stories, and then there's only 6 in the New Testament. Granted, remember I told you there's 9 uses of the word dream, but 6 of them are stories, or at least a little line about something that took place in the narrative. And all of them come from the book of Daniel, the book of Matthew. So very interesting, very peculiar. Now, notice something else about dreams. In the Old Testament, you'll see that 9 of these stories, 9 of them, come to Gentiles. 9. So that means 6 come to Jews. Granted, if you look, a lot of those are coming, a big chunk of those ones come to in the Torah before there's really a people, a covenant. So we can call them the covenant people, in that God made a covenant that he would bring them in. That's Jacob and Joseph. But 9, there's more that come to Gentiles than to Jews. That's kind of an interesting concept. And then you also see in the New Testament here, look, that 2 come to Gentiles and 4 come to Joseph. So this is a really interesting thing, because what you see in Old Testament and New Testament is God is providing dreams to Gentiles and Jews, and he has purposes behind them. One of the things I looked at in my dissertation is, are there differences between the way that God spoke to a Gentile versus the way God spoke to a Jew? I'm not going to let you know just yet, because we're only in the intro slides. But we will talk about that a little bit, because it is interesting to know, how does God talk to a Gentile versus how does he talk to a Jew? Are there some patterns there? Just something to think about. Now, one other thing I want to look at before we close, because these are only meant to be, quick little snippets right now is I want to clarify the difference between dreams and visions. Because sometimes you're going to read in your Bible that they had a vision or they had a dream, and you might not understand what's the difference. Why does one talk about dream? Why does one talk about vision? Well, in the Bible, you will see that dream and vision are sometimes unclear. But it's interesting, if you were to look at the book of Daniel, the book of Daniel helps us to understand kind of a basic framework for this. And so let me try to give you the best crack at it. Visions are kind of the umbrella of terms, right? And then within the term vision, you will have dreams and you can have visions. Sometimes a dream will have multiple visions. But here's kind of the most general, basic understanding of them all, is that dreams occur when you are asleep and visions occur while you can awake. Though a dream might have multiple visions, in that case, the word vision is being used as like a scene change like you would see in a movie. It would change scenes. But generally, the basic distinction is this. If you're having a vision, for instance, when you find that says, I've had a vision in the Old Testament or in the New Testament too, this is generally while the person is awake, they're not asleep, and there's some sort of thing is put into their mind and they're seeing it all. And so that's what you see, for instance, like the book of Revelation. John is having a vision of these things. He's not asleep. But there are a lot, when it says dreams, it's specifically the pattern is I went to bed, I fell asleep, and then these things occurred. So that's something to be reminded of when we open up and we read this. Now, one last thing to think about is that dreams were a legitimate vehicle of revelation. Because today, maybe you're on the side where you say, well, look, dreams are something that we don't talk about. It's not something that God uses or anything like that. But I want to pause and just think about how they were used. Let's deal with that question first. Let's understand that they are, first and foremost, that they were a legitimate form. They weren't some kind of far off, unused piece. In fact, notice what God says to Moses here. He says this in Numbers chapter 12. He said, listen what I say. If there's a prophet among you from the Lord, I make myself known to him in a vision, and I speak with him in a dream. Not so with my servant Moses. He's faithful in all of my household. I speak with him directly, openly, and not in riddles. He sees the form of the Lord. So why are you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? So in this, God is really making it clear to Moses' brother and sister, look, Moses is different, set apart. You guys shouldn't even come and approach him. I deal with Moses differently than everybody else. But notice in this what he says. He says, with prophets, I'll make myself known in a vision, and I can speak with him in a dream. And so that's something that's important, is that God has ordained the vehicle of a dream to be a legitimate use for speaking to his prophets. Now, I want to caution, because we're not going to deal with it all right here. We don't have the time to deal with it in 8 to 10 minutes just right now. So that's why it's important that we're going to try to take this over the next few days into the next week or so, is that it was a legitimate vehicle of revelation. I'm not saying that it's not still used, but I want us to understand that it was. But this is not a verse for you to say, well, see, there it goes. God is telling me something, and he came to me in a dream last night. We can deal with that, and we will deal with that. But I just want to say that we are not in a position to say that God doesn't use dreams, okay? So I hope that that's important and it clarifies a little bit that God has used dreams. You can't doubt that God will speak to people in dreams in the Bible. But that's very different than saying that the dream that you had last night is definitely from God. We have ways to kind of help determine that, and we'll see as we unpack the biblical evidence a little bit more. Okay, that's it for now. Stay tuned for tomorrow. We're going to look at how to understand, or at least the biblical view of true versus false dreams. So let's deal with that. How do we know? Does the Bible tell us that all dreams are from God? Does the Bible tell us that there's sometimes false dreams or ordinary dreams too? we'll deal with that tomorrow, and I hope that that's been a little bit helpful for you today. So stay tuned for the next video.